Heartwarming moment. Millionaire CEO steps up when poor mother of one shocking rejection is exposed. In the heart of a bustling suburban town, a story unfolded with emotions that ebbed and flowed like the daily tides. Sarah, a single mother, stood on her doorstep, her daughter Lily clinging to her leg. The weight of the world pressed down on Sarah's narrow shoulders. As she looked into Lily's bright eyes, a flicker of hope ignited within her, but it was often overshadowed by exhaustion. Late nights spent working as a waitress and early mornings cleaning houses drained her, yet she pushed through, determined to make a better life for her little girl. Yet, handsome smiles watched from neighboring homes filled with laughter and abundance. People saw her struggles, some in pity, others in judgment. "Why doesn't she just get a better job?" they would whisper, never knowing about the countless applications she had filled out, each one leading to yet another rejection. One fateful day, Sarah applied for a community grant intended to assist families like hers. Her dreams of financial recovery bloomed only to be crushed when she received the news: denied. The rejection letter felt like a sledgehammer smashing her hopes, her heart aching as the weight of her circumstances sunk in deeper than ever. Across town, Jack, the affluent CEO, flicked through social media during his morning coffee, his elegant home echoing with silence. He noticed a stirring post about Sarah's plight. The community's ardent discussions flared up, igniting a fire within him he didn't know existed. How can someone work so hard and still get nowhere? As he read about Sarah's rejection, anger bubbled in his chest. He was wealthy and successful, but he felt a chasm between his life and the challenges that individuals like Sarah faced every day. The buzz swirled around him, and he knew he had to act. He organized a fundraiser, hoping to create a ripple of change. But as he announced it, whispers of doubt swirled in the community. What does he know about struggling? Is this just for show? Their skepticism hit him hard, but it made him more determined. Meanwhile, Sarah learned of Jack's intentions, and fire ignited in her gut. This isn't help, she thought. This is a band-aid on a bullet wound. Days later, their paths crossed at a local diner, walls adorned with photographs of families who fought for their existence. With emotions spilling out of her voice, she confronted Jack. "If you want to help, show me you care beyond just throwing money at us." Her words cut through the air like a knife, and for the first time, Jack felt exposed, forced to reflect on what he truly stood for. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the fundraiser loomed, fear set in. Could Jack break free from his privileged bubble? Could Sarah embrace the possibility of help without losing herself? Doubt and anticipation hung in the air. Their lives were tangled in a shared struggle, a testament to resilience, and now they awaited a solution. Would Jack rise to the occasion, proving his commitment to true change? Would Sarah find a way to trust again, or would her skepticism push everything further away? The path to change was fraught with uncertainty, yet it tugged at their hearts, igniting hope in the darkest of places. Jack sat at a small table, nursing the last dregs of his coffee. The diner bustled around him, the sounds of clinking dishes and laughter swirling in the air. Yet, he felt alone, trapped in his thoughts. Sarah's words echoed in his mind. They struck a chord. Help meant more than money. It meant understanding, respect, and a genuine willingness to engage. He couldn't just throw a fundraiser and expect everything to change overnight. Still, what else could he do? He glanced out the window toward the street, where families and friends moved joyfully. He realized he needed to step beyond the walls of his comfortable life and genuinely interact with the community. With a renewed sense of purpose, he decided to visit places that could give him a glimpse into the lives of those he wanted to help. He'd start with the community center that offered job training and support for single parents. Meanwhile, Sarah tried to shake off the encounter from the diner. Despite her anger that day, a small part of her felt respect for Jack. She sensed a hint of sincerity behind his polished exterior. But could she trust that? She had dealt with empty promises before, and the thought of being let down again made her heart ache. As she put Lily down for her afternoon nap, she wondered if this was the time to let someone in again. Just then, a soft knock broke her train of thought. It was her neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, who came over with a plate of cookies. "I saw what happened in the diner. Dear," she said, concern knitting her brow. "I know it's tough, but sometimes we have to let people help us, even if it feels uncomfortable." "I get that, but I don't want charity," Sarah replied. "We need real solutions, not fleeting gestures of kindness." Mrs. Henderson nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. "True change doesn't come easy, but give Jack a chance. You might be surprised." That night, Jack prepared for his visit to the community center. His heart raced. What if they rejected him? What if he was met with anger or distrust? But he knew he had to try. Beneath all his wealth, there was a desire to connect and understand the real issues plaguing his community. As he entered the center the next day, he was met with wary stares. Parents chatted quietly amongst themselves, children played near the corner, and it felt alien to him. He introduced himself, his voice steady but tinged with nerves. "I'm Jack Thompson. I'm here to listen and learn." The room fell silent as eyes turned toward him, suspicion filling the air. But he pressed on, sharing stories of his own journey, touching on vulnerability, and admitting his ignorance about their struggles. He didn't want to be the rich guy throwing money around without grasping their reality. He hoped his honesty would ease some of the tension. After what felt like an eternity, one mother stepped forward. "If you want to help, then help us connect. A job fair, maybe. Training programs. Something that lasts." Jack felt a wave of relief wash over him. Here was a way forward. He could facilitate resources, bring people together, not just for financial aid, but for fellowship and empowerment. Back at home, Sarah heard from others about Jack's visit to the community center. It stirred something in her, a mixture of skepticism and hope. Could things change? Was she ready to take a risk again? As the sun set, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples, Sarah stood at her doorstep once more, contemplating the possibilities. Jack was pushing for more than just a fundraiser. Could two people from such different worlds come together to create change? Two lives intertwined by heartache and determination awaited their next step forward. Just as Sarah started to consider the chance of collaboration, she received a text from Jack. "Can we meet again? I want to hear more about your story." Was this the moment her life could shift toward hope? Or was it another fleeting promise? Only time would tell. Jack's phone buzzed on the table, pulling him from thoughts of the community center. The screen lit up with Sarah's name, and his heart skipped a beat. He stared at the text. "Can we meet again? I want to hear more about your story." Moments stretched as he debated his response. Anxiety twisted in his stomach. What if she thought he was just another rich guy trying to play the hero? But there had to be more to this, more than just charity, more than just empty gestures. Taking a deep breath, he typed back, "Absolutely. How about tomorrow at the park?" After he sent it, Jack leaned back in his chair. The park had a playground, a space where families gathered. He wanted to meet her on neutral ground, away from the pressures of their realities. He envisioned a bench under a tree, the sun filtering through the leaves, where they could talk heart to heart. Meanwhile, Sarah sat on her couch, the text from Jack lingering in her mind. Doubts swirled. Could he really appreciate her struggle? A part of her wanted to scoff at the idea, yet another part felt something softening within her. Maybe this was the chance she hadn't known she needed. She glanced over at Lily, her daughter playing with crayons on the floor. She reminded herself it was okay to seek help. Yet, as the warmth of hope flickered, it was overshadowed by her fear of disappointment. Was she ready to risk another connection? After the fallout from her past relationships, solitude felt safer, like an old friend. But that safety had become a heavy blanket, suffocating her dreams instead of keeping her warm. With a resolution that surprised her, she typed back to Jack. "Tomorrow sounds good. Let us meet at noon." As the sun rose the next day, Sarah felt a weight of anticipation. She dressed carefully, unsure what approach to take, casual or serious. In the end, she chose something comfortable but neat, jeans and a soft sweater. She wanted to present her best self, not just for Jack, but for her daughter as featured at the park. Jack arrived early. He spotted the familiar swing sets and benches, all buzzing with the activity of children and parents. The air was thick with laughter and shouts of joy. Yet, his nerves fluttered. He hadn't expected to feel this much pressure. Then he saw her, Sarah walked toward him, her expression unreadable. As she approached, he felt hope mingle with anxiety. What if she saw everything he wasn't? Hi, he greeted, forcing a smile, trying to read her expression. Thanks for coming. Thanks for inviting me, Sarah replied, her voice steady. So what did you want to ask me? Jack gestured to a nearby bench, and they sat down. He could feel his heart racing, the moment feeling weighty with possibility. I want to understand what you need and how I can help. Sarah's gaze darted to the ground, searching for the right words, caught between caution and determination. Helping isn't just about money. You know I get that. Jack interrupted, leaning in slightly, his sincerity cutting through the tension. I want to know the real struggles. I want to listen. As their conversation unfolded, something inside Sarah began to shift. Perhaps he was genuine after all, but the lingering fear of being let down still hovered like a dark cloud. But before she could respond, a sudden commotion erupted nearby. A child had fallen off a swing, crying loudly. Parents rushed to comfort their little ones, and the atmosphere shifted from relaxed to chaos in seconds. Sarah turned, her instincts kicking in. I should help, she said, standing up. No, wait, Jack said, feeling a rush of panic. I want to help too. Their eyes locked for that brief moment, and something unspoken passed between them. Would he follow her lead? As they rushed over together, it struck Sarah that this was more than just about their individual fears. It was about stepping forward into the unknown, embracing the chaos of change that as they reached the scene. Sarah felt her heart race not just from the situation unfolding, but from the thought of this very moment. Would it be a break or a breakthrough? In the midst of commotion, Jack's eyes were filled with determination. Let us do this together. Would their partnership withstand the challenges that lay ahead? Or would the vulnerable truth of their lives push them apart once more? Just as they reached the fallen child, Sarah's mothering instincts took over. She knelt beside the little boy, gently brushing the dirt off his scraped knee while murmuring soothing words. It's okay, sweetheart. You're brave. Just take a deep breath. Jack stood close by, watching her with admiration. He had never seen a woman display such kindness blended with strength. She had this natural ability to calm chaos. It was magnetic, drawing him in even further. Can I help? He asked, a bit hesitant but with genuine eagerness. Just be there, Sarah replied without looking up, her hands working deftly. Make sure he feels safe. Jack moved closer, kneeling on the other side of the boy. Their eyes met for a split second. It felt like a team, although they hadn't quite reached that level yet. He took the child's tiny hand in his, careful not to pull too hard. You're going to be all right, buddy, he said, his voice steady and steadying. The boy's tears began to quiet as he sensed the support around him. Sarah wiped his cheek, offering the most comforting smile she could muster. See, you brought us together, she said softly, her focus entirely on the child. Once the situation was under control, the child's cries had turned to soft sniffles. Sarah looked up at Jack, her expression softening. You did great, she said, genuine gratitude sparkling in her eyes. For the first time, she felt a flicker of hope that maybe they could share something meaningful. I think we did great, Jack replied, his smile broadening. A warm rush filled his chest. There was something about this moment that felt fundamental, almost like a turning point. Beneath the noise of laughter and shouts that surrounded them, he felt a connection deepen. Before they could absorb the moment, the child's mother rushed over, her face a mixture of relief and gratitude. Thank you so much, she said, gathering her son into her arms. It was a reminder that even a small act of kindness could ripple further than they ever expected. As the mother whisked her child away, Sarah and Jack found themselves standing amid the chaos that now felt lighter. Sarah's nerves began to dissipate, replaced by a tentative sense of safety. Perhaps sharing her story with Jack wouldn't be so daunting after all. Do you often jump in like that? Jack asked teasingly, as they walked back to their earlier bench. Only when it's needed, Sarah replied, trying to cover the heat creeping to her cheeks. She was surprised by her own laughter, echoing with unexpected joy. Sometimes you just have to take action. Right, Jack said, grinning. I'll need to remember that. There was an ease between them now, a familiarity blooming amidst their earlier uncertainty. They sat back down at the bench, the warmth of the sun filtering through the leaves above them. Sarah took a breath, feeling bolder. You wanted to understand what I need? Jack nodded, his expression earnest. Yeah, but after seeing that, I realize it's more than just an exchange of help. It's about understanding the lives we lead. Exactly, she said, sensing the moment shifting. As she looked into his eyes, Sarah felt a tension release. I don't just need money, Jack. I need someone who listens, who doesn't judge, but understands that life weighs heavy sometimes. Jack's heart raced. He hadn't expected this raw honesty. I'm willing to listen. I truly want to know your story. And there it was, a soft opening, a glimmer of hope stretching before them. But just as they began to delve deeper, Jack's phone buzzed again, breaking the moment. He glanced down to see a text from his assistant. Urgent meeting in 30 minutes. Fear pricked at the edges of his burgeoning connection. I have to go, he said reluctantly, feeling the warmth of their conversation slipping away. Okay, Sarah replied, disappointment lacing her voice. Would she ever get the chance to truly share? As he stood to leave, Jack hesitated, conflicted. Can we meet again? I'd really like to continue this discussion. Sarah smiled, though it felt bittersweet. Sure, but you'll have to promise to find some time. I will, Jack assured her, his voice steady. He took a step back, glancing at her one last time, and something shimmering passed between them, a promise of better days ahead, or perhaps the terror of what could be lost. As he walked away, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. But would Jack keep his promise, or would the demands of his life dim the light flickering between them? The sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow across the park, but for Sarah, the warmth felt distant. She watched Jack walk away, his figure slowly dissolving into the crowd. Each step he took felt heavy, as if he was carrying away a part of her hope. Her heart ached not for the loss of a possible relationship, but for the fear of being left in a place where her story would remain untold. She took a deep breath, the scent of fresh grass grounding her, but it did little to ease the tightness in her chest. As the park buzzed with laughter and the chatter of families enjoying their weekend, Sarah's mind replayed the past few moments. The connection they shared was undeniable. In the chaos of the fallen boy, something had sparked between them. She could still feel the warmth of Jack's hand holding the child's, a symbol of their shared humanity. Yet, she felt vulnerable, like a window opened wide for the first time, inviting the chill of uncertainty. What if she poured out her heart, and Jack didn't reciprocate? What if the burdens of her life remained a wall between them? As if sensing her distress, a small dog bounded up to her, tail wagging furiously. Its owner, a little girl, no more than 6, with pigtails and a bright yellow dress, appeared behind, laughing. Sorry, he loves people. The girl reached down, petting the dog, her eyes sparkling with innocence. It's okay, Sarah said, her lips curving up in a genuine smile. The girl beamed back at her, and for a moment, the weight of her worries faded. Are you okay? The girl asked, her sincerity catching Sarah off guard. Just thinking, Sarah replied, kneeling to scratch the dog behind its ears, grateful for the distraction. Thinking's good. I think about fairies and adventures, the girl announced, eyes shining. You can think about something happy. Happy, Sarah echoed, the word lingering in the air. She allowed herself to imagine a different scenario. A life where her story wasn't just about survival, but about joy, transformation, and maybe even love. Her thoughts shifted back to Jack, the way he looked at her, the warmth in his voice when he spoke. He seemed real, someone who could truly listen. Was she willing to open that door again? As the little girl's laughter rang through the air, Sarah felt a flicker of courage ignite within her. She picked up her phone, the screen lighting up with Jack's contact info. The simple thought of reaching out terrified her, yet it also filled her with a sense of purpose. Just then, her phone vibrated with a message. It was a reminder of the meeting she had set for that evening, a chance to present her ideas about her community project, one she had been hesitant to share. The thought of facing a room full of judgmental expressions had always paralyzed her. But now, she found herself energized. What if sharing her hopes could present a new path? What if, even without Jack, her story mattered? She sent a quick message to Jack. I know it was a little rushed earlier, but I'd love to meet up whenever you have time. I have more to share. Her heart raced as she hit send. It was a leap of faith, one that held the potential to reshape her future. Moments later, her phone buzzed again. She stared at the screen, her breath caught in her throat. Jack's name popped up, and the reply read, Absolutely. Let us make this happen. Sarah's heart soared, the uncertainty transforming into excitement. She had taken a step toward opening up, toward change. What else could happen now? Feeling a mixture of hope and anticipation, she returned to the park, determined to embrace whatever lay ahead. Would she find the courage to share her story and all it entailed? As she straightened her shoulders and took in the surroundings, she couldn't shake the feeling that this chapter of her life was just beginning to unfold. But what would happen when she finally unveiled her truth to Jack? The soft glow of the park's lights began to flicker on, twinkling like stars against the darkening sky. For Sarah, each light felt like a promise, a whisper of hope. As she strolled along the familiar path, her heart beat a little faster. She didn't know what to expect from her meeting with Jack, but she wanted to be ready. Her community project had been a silent dream, tucked away in the corners of her mind. But now, with Jack's encouragement, it felt alive. She envisioned the faces of those who might benefit, children laughing, families gathering, lives improving. This wasn't just about her. It was about her community. She found a bench and sat down, the wood warm beneath her. Taking a deep breath, she scanned a nearby playground. Children chased one another, their laughter vibrant and infectious. In their joy, she saw a reflection of her own buried hopes. Why not share as much as you can? She remembered the little girl saying. Those words echoed loudly now. It was time to turn her fears into motivation. Sarah took out her notepad, filled with drawings and ideas. She began to write, her fingers moving quickly across the pages. Each stroke felt exhilarating as visions of a community feast, art classes for kids, and a garden began to take shape. With every word, the anxiety in her chest began to ease. This was who she was meant to be, a voice for change, not just a witness to it. Suddenly, her phone vibrated again, snapping her from her thoughts. A notification lit up the screen. Meeting at 6 p.m. Looking forward to seeing your presentation. It was from the organizer of her meeting. Just knowing that she would have a chance to share her ideas left her feeling both thrilled and terrified. What if they didn't like it? What if they laughed or dismissed her because she didn't have the right credentials? The doubts crept back, but she forced herself to take a deep breath. She could do this. She had to believe that her story mattered. After some time, Sarah stood and stretched her arms, feeling ready for whatever came next. The park carried an air of magic now, illuminated by the lights and laughter. Her heart felt lighter, a stark contrast to the weight it had carried earlier. As she turned to leave, she spotted Jack in the distance, emerging from behind a group of people. His smile broke through the crowd like sunlight and sent a flutter through her stomach. He was here. The moment was real. Just as she was about to call out to him, she noticed a woman sitting alone on a nearby bench. She looked lost in thought, thumb moving anxiously over her own phone. Sarah hesitated. Perhaps that woman needed a kind word or a simple smile. "Can I help?" Sarah called out, her voice steady. The woman looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes. Being open-minded had always been Sarah's way, but she suddenly understood how sharing a moment with a stranger could change everything. Before she could second-guess herself, Sarah walked over, her heart whispering that this was how she could truly start her unfolding story. "Sometimes, just talking helps," she said softly. But as Jack approached, her pulse quickened again. He raised his hand in greeting, his eyes locking onto hers. How would she handle this moment? As Sarah stood there, tension and expectancy swirling in the air, she wondered if sharing her story with him would be as easy as reaching out to the woman just a moment ago. Would she find the courage to walk through this door of vulnerability, with Jack getting closer and the woman still looking hopeful? Sarah felt a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. The future felt uncertain, yet shimmering with possibilities. Today could change everything, she thought, heart racing. Would this be the moment she embraced her full story? And as Jack's smile grew wider, Sarah knew she was on the brink of something transformative. Would she be brave enough to reveal what lay hidden within her? Jack was almost there now, his smile bright and reassuring. It was as if the world around them faded into soft focus, leaving just the two of them standing in an electric connection. The moment crackled in the air, thick with anticipation. "Hey, Sarah," he called out, his voice warm, cutting through the tension she was feeling. In that instant, her heart squeezed tight. It was exhilarating, yet terrifying, as she dared to hope this meeting would unlock a new chapter in her life. "Jack," she managed, trying to keep her voice steady. But she could feel her palms moisten, and a rush of thoughts flooded her mind. Was the presentation ready? Did she remember all the details? What if he saw right through her bravado? "Thank you for coming," he said as he settled next to her on the bench, his body angled toward hers. He looked genuinely excited, and that made her heart swell. "I can't wait to hear about your ideas." Just as Sarah was about to dive into her vision, her community garden, the feast, the classes, she felt the weight of the woman's gaze beside her. The stranger was still sitting there, her phone forgotten, listening. There was a quiet intensity about her that made Sarah pause. Actually, before we get started, I wanted to check in with her too," Sarah said, gesturing toward the woman. She shook her head slightly, almost surprised at her own spontaneity, but felt an urge to include her. "Sure, that's totally fine," Jack replied, a spark of intrigue in his eyes. "Hey," Sarah turned to the woman, who looked expectant. "My name's Sarah, and this is Jack. I noticed you seemed a bit contemplative. Everything all right?" The woman smiled, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "I guess I've just been feeling a bit lost," she admitted softly. "I'm new to the area and still trying to find my way. It's overwhelming sometimes." "Starting anew can be tough," Sarah said, empathy flooding through her. "But you're not alone. I'm working on a community project to bring people together. It's a gathering space for everyone, families, kids, just life." Jack nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe you have ideas of what could attract more people or activities that would help." The woman's eyes lit up as she considered this. "Actually, I remember some events back home that brought people together. We did potluck dinners and movie nights." Sarah felt a warmth bloom in her chest. This was the connection she sought, not just with Jack, but with this stranger too. It was a tangible reminder that community wasn't just about formal structure. It was about hearts, laughter, and shared experiences. "Those sound wonderful," Sarah replied, her voice soft but vibrant with excitement. "Would you be interested in maybe helping out or contributing those ideas?" "Really? I'd love that," the woman said, visibly brightening. It was as if a flicker of hope sparked in the air between them, creating an invisible thread that connected their stories. Turning back to Jack, Sarah felt affirmation in his glance. "See, people want to help each other," she said, emboldened. "We all have something to share." Jack's smile widened, and just then, the air shifted slightly. The atmosphere felt charged with potential, a weightlessness that was exhilarating. It wasn't just about her project anymore. It became a tapestry of lives woven together in support and solidarity. But as she stood there, a thought bubbled up, a silent fear that whispered in her mind. If she opened her heart too wide now, what if it shattered? Would they see past her enthusiasm to the uncertainty coiled within her? The woman reached out and touched Sarah's arm, grounding her. "Thank you for reaching out. I've needed this today." Almost instinctively, Sarah glanced back at Jack. Would he still think she was brave and capable if they took this unexpected turn? With everything swirling, she couldn't shake the weight of her vulnerability. As the laughter and warmth of the park faded into the shadows around them, Sarah realized she was standing at a crossroads. Would she take the leap to share her dreams, her fears, and fully embrace the journey ahead, however messy it might be? Jack looked at her, curiosity dancing in his eyes, waiting for her next move. And that's when she felt it, the first flutter of courage, a tiny ember of hope. Would she risk everything to spark a flame that could light up their community and her heart? With the sun dipping lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue across the park, Sarah felt a surge of determination. That tiny ember of hope she felt moments ago flickered brighter as she realized this was more than just a project. It was a way to connect, to build something real with people who were also navigating their own uncertainties. "Okay, I need to share my vision," she said, her voice steadying as she focused on Jack and the woman beside her. "I want to create a community garden, a place where anyone can come together, grow food, and share knowledge. We could have classes on gardening, cooking, and even wellness events." Jack leaned forward, his interest evident. "That sounds amazing, Sarah." And with the woman's ideas about potlucks and movie nights, it could become the heart of the neighborhood. "Yes, exactly," Sarah exclaimed, her pulse racing with excitement. Imagine families coming together, learning from one another, sharing meals. It could be a real hub of connection. The stranger nodded, her enthusiasm matching Sarah's. I love that idea. We could even collaborate with local businesses, maybe get them involved in hosting events or supplying materials. They do want to support a project that brings the community together. Sarah's heart fluttered at the thought. Jack's eyes sparkled with inspiration, and she felt like they were building something tangible right before her. She took a breath, pushing the fear that threatened to creep back into the corner of her mind. "Can I ask your name?" she said, turning to the woman. "Of course. I'm Mia," she replied, her face lighting up. "I think we should have a brainstorming session. Get the word out and gather more ideas." Sarah nodded enthusiastically. "Let us do that. I'd love to involve as many people as possible. If we start talking about it, we could turn it into something huge." Just then, Jack's phone buzzed, and he glanced down. A flicker of concern crossed his face, but he quickly masked it with a reassuring smile. "I know it's not the ideal timing, but I have to take this call. Can we pick this up when I'm done?" "Oh sure, take your time," Sarah said, though she felt a tiny pinch of anxiety. She didn't want to lose this momentum. Jack stood up, hesitating for a moment as if he was weighing something. "I mean it, Sarah. This is a great idea. I'm all in." And with that, he stepped away, his figure retreating into the crowded park. Suddenly, it felt quieter. Sarah turned to Mia, who wore a hopeful smile. "Looks like we're in this together," Mia said. "You're passionate about this, I can see it. That's what brings people in, right?" "It's scary, but I really want to make it work," Sarah replied, a buzz of excitement stirring in her as she realized the weight of their budding partnership. They were allies now, two women ready to make a difference, even in the face of uncertainty. Just then, a playful gust of wind caught Mia's hair, buoying her spirit further. "Let us start with the basics then. Maybe meet this weekend and sketch out a plan?" "Yes, a planning party," Sarah said, her energy revitalized. "It'll be our first step." But as they began to brainstorm the logistics, Sarah's mind drifted back to Jack. What would this mean for them? Would his enthusiasm wane with distance? Or was this the start of something meaningful? And then a thought struck her like a bolt of lightning. Was she ready to dive into this not just for herself, but for the connections it could foster with Jack and Mia, and maybe even more people? Her heart raced at the possibilities. The thread of vulnerability she had felt began to intertwine with threads of hope and community, weaving a tapestry of potential that stretched before her. "What if we actually make this happen?" she whispered to herself, excitement mixing with fear. Mia, catching the glint of determination in Sarah's eyes, leaned in closer, as if sharing a secret. Dreams have a funny way of becoming reality when you start to talk about them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the park, Sarah realized this community garden was just the beginning. But would they have the courage to face the challenges that lay ahead, especially when Jack returned? The weekend arrived faster than Sarah could have anticipated. She felt a mixture of excitement and nerves fluttering in her stomach as she made her way to the park. The sun was shining brightly, and families were scattered about, enjoying the day. Each smile, every laughter echoed the hope she felt about the community garden. Sarah arrived early, her notebook clutched to her chest as she scanned the area for Mia. She was determined to make their first planning party a success. Finally, she spotted Mia walking toward her, arms filled with supplies, colorful markers, and large sheets of paper. "Hey, look at you, ready to kick this off," Mia exclaimed as they embraced. "I figured we could do something fun, make it feel real, you know?" Sarah replied, her smile growing wider. "We can draw out our vision." They settled under the shade of a large oak tree, its branches swaying gently in the breeze. The atmosphere was perfect, a little laughter from nearby children, birds chirping, and the rustle of leaves. This, she thought, was what they were building for, a space where joy thrived. As they began sketching their ideas, Sarah felt the conversation flow like a stream. They tossed ideas back and forth, brainstorming every detail, from vegetable selections to class schedules. Mia had a knack for thinking outside the box. Her ideas about incorporating local artists for workshops added a layer of brightness to their plans. But amidst their enthusiasm, Sarah's thoughts drifted to Jack. Would he support their vision? They had barely scratched the surface of what this garden could become, but she couldn't shake off that twinge of anxiety about his return. "Hey," Mia snapped her fingers, pulling Sarah back to the conversation. "What do you think about a little opening ceremony? A community kickoff?" Sarah's eyes lit up. That's brilliant. We could invite families to plant the first seeds together. Exactly. And we can hand out small pamphlets about how to maintain the garden and what classes will be happening. Just then, as if the universe responded to her mounting excitement, laughter erupted nearby. Sarah turned, her heart skipping a beat. Jack was approaching, and he had a couple of bags in hand. He looked a little disheveled, but cheerful. "Hey, you two," he called out, waving as he joined them. "Sorry I'm late. Things got a bit hectic." Sarah's heart raced. She could feel the weight of what she wanted to say, the depth of her feelings for this project, and perhaps for him too, clashing with her nervousness. "We were just brainstorming some ideas for the garden," she said, unable to suppress the smile lighting up her face. Jack's eyes brightened as he dropped onto the grass beside them. "I'm all ears. What have you come up with?" Mia jumped right in, excitement bubbling in her voice. "A community kickoff. Families can plant seeds together, and we'll have classes and all sorts of activities." Jack nodded, impressed. "That sounds incredible. Count me in. What can I do to help?" As they began detailing their plans, Sarah felt the rush of connection deepen. Yet beneath it lay a question: was this just a friendly partnership, or was there more to explore? Could she voice that hesitation without risking everything they'd begun to build? As she watched Jack animatedly discussing ideas, Sarah knew she had to keep her focus sharp. She didn't want to spoil this moment by letting fear creep in. But in her heart, a small voice whispered the truth. Was she ready for whatever this could become? The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow around them. In that golden hour, dreams for the future intertwined with the present hope dancing between possibilities. But just as their laughter filled the air, a sudden noise broke their focus. A commotion at the park entrance drew their attention, a crowd gathering. With curiosity piqued, they exchanged glances. "What is happening over there?" Mia asked, her brow furrowing. As they stepped away from their spot to get a better view, Sarah's heart raced again, not from excitement, but from a sense of impending uncertainty. What had they stumbled into? This was the beginning of something, but could they handle whatever came next? As the three of them approached the entrance, the sounds of laughter and chatter dimmed, giving way to confusion and murmurings of concern. A small crowd was gathered around a man older, weathered by the years, but radiating a warmth that drew people in. He was cradling a puppy, no more than a few weeks old, and the sheer cuteness of the little creature elicited oohs and ahs from the spectators. Jack's eyes sparkled with curiosity as he nudged closer to Sarah and Mia. "What is going on?" he asked, tilting his head toward the throng. "Looks like someone just rescued that pup," Sarah replied, her heart warming at the sight. "I bet he is looking for a home." The puppy, wiggling in the man's arms, seemed to embody everything Sarah had been hoping for in their plans for the community garden: a new beginning, a shared joy, a way to come together. The crowd slowly dispersed, revealing the man's age-old, weather-beaten face. "This little guy needs a home, folks," he declared, holding the pup aloft. "Don't let him down. Let us show him love." Just as he spoke, stray families began to gather around, their faces lighting up with the hope of adopting a furball. A little girl stepped forward, her eyes round with wonder. "Can I hold him?" she asked, her voice trembling with excitement. "Of course, sweetheart." The man handed the puppy over, and the small girl beamed, cradling the dog joyfully as the crowd rallied around her, smiles brightening faces that just moments before looked weary. "See." Mia turned to Sarah, energized by the scene. "This is the heart of community. It's not just about the garden. It's events like this that bring us all together." Jack looked at Sarah. "We need moments like this at our garden. A sanctuary for not just plants, but connection. What if we incorporated community pet adoption days into our events? It could spark something beautiful." In an instant, Sarah felt the energy shift within her. All her worries about what this project meant for her faded away, replaced by a united vision. The community garden was not going to be just about growing vegetables. It was also going to be a space for people to gather, to bond over love, be it for plants or animals. "Absolutely," Sarah affirmed, the rush of ideas flooding her heart. "We can provide a platform for adoptions, pet-friendly events." "It's perfect," Mia nodded enthusiastically. "We could partner with shelters. They'd probably jump at the chance to reach out to our community. Plus, think of all the families we could bring happiness to." One small act, one little puppy, had suddenly opened up a realm of possibilities in Sarah's mind. She could feel the walls she built around her soften bit by bit, the urge to connect with others flooding her spirit. Jack, too, shared her excitement. Something about this vision echoed the hopeful tenderness he felt when he first learned of Sarah's struggles. "We have to harness this," Jack said, enthusiasm spilling over as he cast a glance at Mia. "What do you think? Should we find a way to get that puppy into our garden-esque vision? Together, folks, we can create a community spirit that lifts everyone." "Definitely," Mia said, her eyes sparkling. With the puppy still nestled in a child's arms, everyone relaxed, laughter bubbling in the air anew. Without realizing it, a sense of security began to wrap around Sarah. This was the change, the engagement she had yearned for and now experienced with Jack and Mia. They weren't just working on a project. They were weaving a bigger tapestry. As night fell and the park began to empty, Jack turned to Sarah. "I want to be part of this, not just support it from the sidelines. Can we make this official? I'll help with resources, connecting businesses, everything I can do." Sarah felt her heart soar. "You really mean it?" "Absolutely," he replied, sincerity painting his tone. "We are in this together." Tears pricked at Sarah's eyes, but this time they were tears of gratitude and awakening. And while a lot about the future remained uncertain, she finally felt buoyed by the belief that she didn't have to tread the path alone. They could openly forge ahead as allies and build something fantastic, not just for themselves, but for everyone searching for connection. As they prepared to leave, Sarah glanced back at the playground, where echoes of laughter and shimmering dreams danced in the crescent moonlight. She was ready now, ready to embrace every emotion, every fear, every hope, and with a full heart, she was determined to uncover what life had in store. With newfound assurance, she reached for Jack's hand, intertwining their purpose. "Let us do this together." As they strolled away from the park, a calm urgency surged within Sarah, a lightness in her soul. This was only the beginning, a new chapter unfolding, a heart-opening revolution, and she knew it would take them, one step at a time, to places far beyond their imagination. Now is the time for you to be part of a transformative journey. You need to subscribe now to this channel to witness all the powerful stories coming your way. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep inspiring tales alive. Comment below with how this story made you feel and what you think about the growth of Sarah and Jack. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation.